This year's been an interesting one for me as far as my photography has been concerned. I've been all over the place. I've been to the Highlands of Scotland, I've been to the Yorkshire Moors, I've been to the Yorkshire Dales, I've been to Iceland, I've been to the Peak District, I've been to the Yorkshire coast. Well, one thing has remained the same. I've used Micro Four Thirds all year. And let me talk to you for a bit about why I'm using Micro Four Thirds into 2025. Now, there are all kinds of photographers out there in the world, each with their own wants and needs from a camera system. If you're, say, under 25 years old, it's probably a Sony crop camera, which is great for getting 3 inches above a puddle in the city at blue hour, for that reflection shot that everybody likes. Or if you're Marcus from, say, Photography Online, it's probably a full frame camera, exclusively, nothing else will do. More than likely a 50mm f1.8 lens, wide open for that shallow depth of field. And there's people like me. I always like to use things that people would maybe scoff at, maybe avoid, to just have a little bit of fun, sometimes winding people up with it. Take this, the Micro Four Thirds OM system OM1 with its backside illuminated sensor. Probably the best noise performance from a camera that I've ever seen. It's one of my favourite recurring themes from the comments on my videos around Micro Four Thirds is how bad the noise performance actually is. And I would guess that that comes from people who have never used the format or dabbled with it in its early years. And let's be honest, the noise performance wasn't all that great. But the backside illuminated sensor in this OM1, you're gaining around a stop in noise performance. And that's because of the architecture of the sensor. There is a wiring layer in there for all of the electronics for the sensor. It's been shifted below the photosensitive layer, which allows a little bit more light to hit your sensor, a little bit more light, better noise performance. So if you've always scoffed at the Micro Four Thirds camera and thought, ew, noise performance, pick up a newer one with a backside illuminated sensor, and see if you can tell the difference. Because the first time I saw the raw files compared to the EM1, wow. Crispy and clean. Oh, hello. You've just caught me in the middle of changing a lens over. Oh, I think I'm going to use this one. I can't believe how big it is. How heavy that is. It's massive. It's a 25mm f1.8. It's essentially Olympus's own version of the Nifty 50. I know, a Nifty 50 on Micro Four Thirds. How on earth do you get a shallow depth of field with such a small sensor? I forgot. It's not possible. Micro Four Thirds, you cannot get any background separation, especially for a sort of head or shoulders portrait shot, like an environmental. It's just not possible, is it? Shoot. Well, that's lucky. No rain forecast. Oof. Oh, I got a little bit nervous then. It's darkened off a little bit, and obviously weather sealing, it's only really available on the full frame cameras, isn't it? The larger sensors, your Canons, your Sonys, your Nikons. There's no weather. Oh, wait, it is weather sealed. Sorry, I forgot. You would never use this camera near a waterfall, or oh wait, yeah, you would, because it's weather sealed. But apparently weather sealing isn't a thing when it comes to Micro Four Thirds, so I've heard. I mean, I've never used it near waterfalls. I've certainly never used it in the rain. I've only ever used it on bright sunny days in the middle of summer. Weather sealed. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times when 20 megapixels just, I don't know, it doesn't seem enough, does it? It's obviously everybody's printing billboard sized images these days, and 20 megapixels it's just not enough. I just wish there was a way of, you know, getting a little bit more resolution out of these cameras. That's the only, oh, sorry, yeah. There. It's called high res mode. So the camera uses its sensor shift on the image stabilization thing. It's really clever, and it creates a stitch of pictures, and you get like 80 megapixels and 50 megapixels even if you don't have it on the tripod. And then shame on Canon with your neural upscaling. Canon have stolen an idea. Shame on Canon. Let's have a look. Handheld high resolution mode. Let's find something around here. Probably a tree, in all honesty, with some texture on it. Let's just see what 50 megapixels looks like compared to 20. A tree. Right. Let's take a picture of its trunk. All right. This isn't really a picture for a picture's sake. It's just a picture for a picture's sake. That makes no sense. Right. So let's focus on the tree trunk. f2.8, 30th of a second. Boom. ISO 200. Now, I have never actually used the handheld high res on this, so computational modes, high res on handheld high res. There we go. So, framing up save, focusing on the tree trunk again. f2.8, 30th of a second. Oh, it's done. Well, that was just insanely quick. Handheld, high res, handheld, non-high res. Here they are. So to answer one of the more popular questions on my content, which is how big can you print with a Micro Four Thirds size sensor? Well, the answer really is as big as you want. Printing size isn't limited to sensor size, okay? You can print as big as you want with anything. The limiting factor is resolution and viewing distance of the person looking at your picture. So when you drive down the street and you pass a billboard sign or a big old advertisement, if you was to actually look up quite close at that, you would notice quite a blocky pixelated photograph, and that is because they tend to be quite low resolution, but quite large pixels. So you can see it when you're driving away, which kind of makes sense. It needs to be bigger, therefore everything on it needs to be bigger, but you can get away with less resolution because the people looking at it are quite far away. Whereas if you was to print a picture to show at home or in a gallery, the higher resolution is probably going to do you a little bit more of a favour, so you can showcase them fine details to people that are viewing the image quite close up. I tend to shoot and print things in mind of a 8x12 or 8x10, that kind of stuff. A4 size sheets of paper is roughly what I print, and that's not a limiting factor of the camera, that's just personal preference. I would imagine the vast majority of people out there who are printing their own photos or buying prints of photos will be buying images roughly the same resolution and the same size, which tends to be 300 dpi, usually 12x10s. This, no bearing on it whatsoever. Look at you sitting there all smug and unprofessional. Let's talk about that term, professional, for a minute. I am not a professional photographer. I am not a pro photographer. But that term only really counts when somebody makes, I believe it is more than 50% of an income from any given occupation. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. It's the person that's making the money from the photography, not the camera that they are using. So let's stop slighting Micro Four Thirds and say it's not pro. because there are plenty of professional photographers out there using Micro Four Thirds. Now that point about it being the person who is the pro photographer leads me on to my sort of final point regarding this. A camera choice, a format choice, a system choice, a brand choice. It's all down to you, isn't it? You're the person using your camera. It's irrelevant what other people are using when you're the one using your chosen equipment. And I just happen to have landed on a system, on a brand that I can use and does everything as a photographer that I need it to do. I'm comfortable using this system. It does everything that I need, and that's the important thing. It does everything that I need. Now, when I first started out with photography, I probably watched a lot of the same YouTube content as you did. I won't name any names, I'm sure you can guess who they are. And in my earlier, inexperienced days, I thought, well, if they're using that equipment, then that's the equipment that I need to use. And I spent an awful lot of money on Canon equipment. I never really got along with it. Now, don't get me wrong, the image quality was fine, but it was the size of it, it was the weight of it, and it was the somewhat lacking feature sets inside of the cameras that I got a little bit bored with. And when I first dove into Micro Four Thirds, I thought, actually, there is something here. The first one I had was an OM10, an EM10. It was an Olympus EM10 Mark II, a broken Olympus EM10 Mark II. And within half an hour of using that, at the coast, at Withensea, one very cold January morning, I absolutely fell in love with the capabilities of the tiny little camera that I had in my hand. And here we are, 2 years later, the EM1, an Olympus Pro lens, and I'm absolutely loving my photography life once again. So don't let the bigger content creators out there, don't let the internet, don't let anybody else sway you to what brand of camera that you want. Be the person that makes up your own mind. A little bit like I did when I picked up this OM1, this one, the OM1, the EM1. The EM1 is there. I always get these muddled up now. The EM1 Mark II is there. The OM1 Mark I is here. Why do they have to change name? So thank you very much for watching today's video. All the photographs that I've shown you today were taken either with this OM System OM1 or the Olympus EM1 Mark II that you're watching this through right now. I've used them all over the place this year, and I've not once found myself in a situation where I was regretting bringing one along or yearned for something else. Like I've already said in this video, a camera is your personal choice. Find something that works for you, like I have with these. If you have enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. Maybe drop a comment down below. It really does help bring new viewers to see my content. And that's what I'm trying to do with this channel, is spread the word of Micro Four Thirds as far and as wide as I possibly can. If you're new here and you liked it a little bit more, do the subscribe button down below. Consider pressing that and you get a notification every time I upload some more Micro Four Thirds related content. But for now, I'm going to go home and get warmed up. It's a little bit fresh. I love you and leave you. I'll say peace and goodbye.